Jerry DeGarcio, 8 Grove Street. Mr. Mayor, are you considering withdrawing Resolution 19?
No.
Okay. Then I'm glad you said that you wrote this up, because technically if an attorney wrote this up, I'd have a very big question about it. But paragraph 3, for example, whereas the mayor and the council have a duty and an obligation to the residents and business community to protect the well-being of the community. I didn't know the well-being of the community was in danger. That's number one. But the big problem is the last paragraph. And that is, now herefore be it resolved that the mayor and municipal council of the township of Belleville hereby request the township manager to consider suspending the construction code official until a time whereby these investigations have concluded and he determines whether or not discipline is warranted. Now, the problem with this is, number one, it is getting ahead of itself. From what I understand, is an investigation by the Attorney General's office. And I think we should wait until that is done. Number two, I know Mr. Iacona knows his job. And technically, I have never heard of, I don't believe you, is the construction code official a civil service position?
State. Yes.
Yes. From my understanding, and I've been a shop steward with the state CWA Local 1037. I am currently an executive board member of the Fraternal Order Police 106. You cannot suspend somebody unless discipline is warranted and you bring up disciplinary charges. That's how I know the law. Now, I may be correct, but if Mr. Iacona feels that I'm not, I wish he would tell me. Because that's how I understood the rules. You can't suspend unless you bring somebody up on disciplinary charges. Am I correct?
I believe so.
Through the chair.
I don't know what we can talk, what,
Well, we're not
through the
talking
chair.
about the specifics. We're just talking about what's legal and what isn't legal, technically, about this resolution.
Through the chair. I'm prohibited from speaking on topic.
You're prohibited from speaking on the topic itself?
Yeah, again,
It's on the agenda.
I have to give you, and again.
I think the manager said at the beginning of this meeting that he was going to be limited at what he could say, as we all are, by the way,
Well, then if you all are, why is this on the agenda?
to get a vote and to ask the manager to consider an action.
Well, the feeling I have is you should stay out of it until the Attorney General's investigation is done. And then,
Your opinion is noted.
Now, if the gentleman is indicted, then I would say he has a right to bring up a disciplinary charge and suspend.
Even if
But
he's
he's
not
not even charged yet.
He's not indicted. There may be employment issues that Mr. Iacona.
I agree with you, but you're saying to suspend him until the investigation is concluded and he determines whether or not discipline is warranted. You have to use discipline in order to suspend.
I'm just kind of shocked that there's not more outrage of the other way around, that everything that happened and everything that went down.
But no, I'm just talking about legalities, because I don't want the town getting sued and then I have to pay extra taxes to take care of a law settlement
You probably
because
should've-
it's going to be in the millions of dollars.
You probably should have been around the 6 or 7 years before me to talk about the millions of dollars that we settle in lawsuits.
I'm concerned about this one. This one is way overboard.
So
It is before anything should be done.
3.5 years, this council has not incurred a lawsuit that we've settled, by the way, just so you know that. 3.5
Well,
years.
Well, maybe this is going to break the record for
Our
you.
track record is pretty good.
I think this might break the record for you. My suggestion to this council, you move the motion, no one seconded it, and that's the end of it until the investigation is over. But in my opinion, to try and do something like this and ask him to do something he's not allowed to do, as far as I know.
You're not an attorney, but
I may not be an attorney, but I know labor law pretty well.
do need you to wrap up.
I will finish. That's it. I'm done. Thank you.
At least everybody's on the same page. That's good. Anybody else? Nope. Seeing none, hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Motion. Second.
Motion made and seconded to close public comments. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano? Natori?
Yes.
Ravel?
Yes.
Strumelob? Mayor Melham?
Yes. Next item is resolutions. We have the consent agenda. Anybody?
Yeah, I'd like to pull two. I'd like to pull two of them, number 3. and
Three.
And number 19.
3 and 19. Anybody else?
I'd like to pull 7.
Got 3,
7.
7. I was going to pull 6, but we've already, I think, discussed that enough, so. So we have 3, we have 7, we have 19. Anything else? No?
Motion for the consent
I'll
agenda.
get a motion. We have a motion for the consent agenda. We have a motion made and seconded for the consent agenda. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Natori?
Yes.
Ravel?
Yes.
Strumelob? Mayor Melham?
Yes. Resolution 19. Who
I try
pulled
not
it?
to write things.
I did,
Hold it. Tommy?
yes. So again, just like to have a comment on this. I understand what this was discussed. I'm not going to rehash it. But I really believe we do, and it's not our job, to hire and fire. I do understand that it's the managers to do that. But in conversation last week or 2 weeks ago, there were some facts that were presented. And that said, right, wrong, or indifferent, I believe on behalf of the town manager has an obligation, based on the facts or investigation that has been done, to do the right thing, what he feels that right thing is to do. Yes, there's an investigation at a hierarchy, but that said, if nothing is done, and there is something that becomes out of this at a higher level, then we really have to stop and think about how it was handled and hold people accountable, okay, across all levels. Not just how it was done, but how these tasks happened and things that may have been done and not done. So you understand where I'm coming from? I hope you do. But yes, it is the manager's obligation, or his responsibility, based on the information that he understands and knows and come to find, and possibly more stuff too, if at all. So I just wanted to share that before I cast my vote.
Mayor, if I may, I would like to ask council, is presenting a resolution asking the township manager to consider this, is this giving him directive, and is that a violation of the Faulkner Act?
So I heard the objectors, I heard the people who made public comment, and so, no, obviously, it's not a directive. Nobody's directing, if it's passed, it's not a directive. Contrary to some of the public comment, that statute talks about an individual's influence of the township manager. This resolution, if it's passed, is not an individual's influence of the manager. It would be the will of the council, and there is case law, specific case law. And when they talk about a conviction, they were not talking about the will of the council. They were talking about there's case law that I obviously researched prior to today that says that the conviction talks about an individual's influence of the township manager. Under the Faulkner Act, an individual council member cannot influence or attempt to influence the township manager. But the case law does allow, and it specifically says the will of the council, the manager can respond to the will of the council if he wanted to. He does not have to. This resolution, as it's worded, talks about whether or not he would consider it. All this would do, just like many people, I think, have come up here and asked about, why hasn't this council passed a resolution condemning January 6th? Why haven't this council passed a resolution directing the Attorney General to carry out the report of the Board of Education? Well, just like those resolutions wouldn't be binding on anybody, this resolution wouldn't be binding on the township manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was going to pull this anyway to just discuss it real quick as well. There's no secret as to what transpired at the last council meeting. There's 32 minutes of video and audio on that in the public. And as I said that day, that was not held in the public at our behest. That was at this particular person's request to have that in public. Therefore, everything that was said a meeting ago, 2 weeks ago, is in the public record. It's 32 minutes long. Anything that was said can be still spoken about. Just know that we, as a council, our professionals, Mr. Iacono, Mr. Martino, our assistant manager when he's here, we are also prone to things you don't know. We convened executive session earlier. We've been in executive session before. We are also prone to things you do not know. That's number one. Number two, this particular title is a state title, and there's a separate set of code of ethics that goes with that specific title. Not a state employee code of ethics, but a code of ethics specifically for construction officials. And for those of you who questioned the paragraph about the general public, that comes directly from the construction official code of ethics, where it says that code officials will never knowingly act in a way that might create the impression or suspicion among the public that they are engaged in conduct violative to the public trust. Mr. Iacono, 2 weeks ago, last meeting, said on the record that this particular person took money he should not have taken. That was done on the record. Let me just pose a question to you. If you were one of those developers that had your escrow money taken, and you maybe want to ask for that money back, but yet that particular person is still reviewing your plans, scheduling your inspections, and doing everything else, you might be hesitant to do that. Therefore, it might be better if there was somebody else performing that duty while this investigation is ongoing. That was the only point of this resolution, to make sure township manager knew and was aware of that type of situation, therefore he can make his own decision. That was the absolute only reason why this resolution is here. Anybody else? If not, we'll call the question.
I did have one follow-up question, Mayor. So in absence of the construction official, for whatever reason, is there someone else that does the duties of this person?
I believe there is somebody else in the construction code department that has the same license. If not, which happens if I have an inspection or Councilman Cosarelli's inspection, another town picks it up. They don't charge us. There's no additional fees. Just like court cases, we send them to other towns. They send them here. It would be picked up that way.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
And just one more follow-up.
Sure.
And just exactly to what you said, that there was stated that there was wrongdoing, right?
The manager
Well,
said
from the
that.
manager said
That was not me.
Right, no, so the manager said that. So, and that's why I said comes accountability,
Oh.
right? So if town manager decides to do nothing, that's by choice. But if something comes out later, manager's accountable. So that's why I'm saying accountability right up the top. That's,
Okay, so we're ready to go. So just to be clear, a yes, because sometimes we get confused with, no, but we'll make one. A yes would be to ask the manager to consider. A no is to not ask the manager to consider. Just so sometimes that gets, so I need a motion.
Motion?
And just to let the record reflect, an abstention would be considered a no vote. I'm sorry, it goes down as a no vote, but does count as a no vote when you tally up the results.
Well, just to be clear, it does not go down as a no vote.
NV, on our resolution, it says NV, no, right. Not a vote,
It's
not a
not
vote.
a vote, which means that there's no vote. That means if you don't have a majority of 4, because 7 council members are here, it would not carry. It's not a no vote. It effectively is a no vote in that it won't count towards passing it.
Okay. We got it? I want to make sure nobody's confused, because it does get confusing. I need a motion then.
So move.
Motion made? Need a second? Anybody? what happens. I don't know what happens. So there's, it's just right there?
Well,
And
somebody
we
can
can,
move,
somebody can move it and just vote no. I mean, I think people need to also.
or somebody can move to strike it.
If that is what we want to do. I think we are at a crossroads here where people need to start making decisions that, might not be popular, but ultimately, we have to have the guts to do what we were elected to do. Pass it, vote no, vote yes, do what you want to do, but not discussing this
It dies
is
if you
telling
remove it.
people that we are comfortable with what's happening. At least that's how I see this. And I think we have a responsibility that goes beyond the duty of friendships, beyond the duty of, he's a good man, he's not a good man. We need to make decisions. So I would really hope that someone would second this so you can vote. And on the record, it would say that you don't agree, that you agree that this should not be investigated.
I agree with you. I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion made, and we now have a second.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for that compelling argument, Deputy
Thanks.
Mayor. Clerk, call the roll?
Councilman Cosarelli?
Take no part.
DePena?
Yes?
Graziano?
Take no part.
Natori?
Take no part.
Ravel?
Take no part.
Strumelob Burke?
Take no part.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.